Hey guys, this is Amplifire and welcome to my first episode of Game Reviews. Today we're going to be looking at the King of Sea game between Saigon Jokers from Vietnam and Acclaim Empire X, our very own representative from the Philippines. This would be their very first game against an international team after defeating Imperium Pro Team at the Pro Gaming Series 2016 Summer Split Finals. In case you don't know what King of Sea is, it's basically a training ground for the top League of Legends teams in Southeast Asia. The top two teams from each Garena region would be taking turns to represent their country during a rotation. The Saigon Jokers, being the king of this rotation, have to face each region's representative in a best-of-5 series. The Saigon Jokers were set to be the kings after defeating the Bangkok Titans at the GPL 2016 Spring Finals. For Game 1, AEX start things off with a composition they're very much used to. They grab the double carry, double support setup. They have Graves and Twitch, who are the main carries, and then they've got Karma and Zillion as the supports. Meanwhile, the Saigon Jokers go for a team fight composition, with champions that are very strong in the current meta. It's important to note that this will be Endless Sace's first competitive game with his new teammates on AEX. During the early game, things are looking good for AEX. They're able to get a couple of kills due to the great pathing and ganking from Tamsu, who's known to really help his teammates transition well into the mid-game. However, heated exchanges in the bot lane mostly go in favor of Saigon Jokers, and Sunzi also gets caught a couple of times in this game, sometimes even being forced to use his ult defensively at the start of a fight rather than being placed on a carry. Once Heaven's Hecarim hits his power spike, Saigon Jokers start to group up. They continuously attempt to make picks and dive towers, with fights usually going in their favor. Eventually, it becomes too much for AEX to handle, especially with the lack of a frontline tank. This Baron pretty much sealed the deal in Game 1 for the Saigon Jokers. Along with a couple of more well-executed pickoffs and ganks, they're able to get this first win in the best of 5. In Game 2, Tamsu goes back to one of his favorite junglers, Zac, while Genvi becomes the main source of damage, locking in Tristana. Meanwhile, Saigon Jokers go for a team comp that's pretty similar to what they had in Game 1. They have good hard engage, pick potential, and pretty nice team fight too. During the early game, AEX's bot lane is actually able to do pretty well, and they withstand the pressure coming from Heaven on his Gragas. However, Tamsu wasn't really able to help his teammates during the early laning phase, and this gave Heaven so much freedom to continue diving this bot lane. Even when Tamsu did decide to gank the bot lane, things went pretty sour. They weren't able to get the kill, and Heaven was right there to respond, and they're able to again get a kill onto Genvi. Heaven then looks to the other lanes to help his teammates to snowball, and this definitely happens. He's able to pull off a lot of successful ganks, and his snowball teammates are able to be so proactive and take objectives very quickly. Eventually, everything gets way too overwhelming for AEX, and Saigon Jokers are able to finish the second game at 23 minutes. In what could be the very last game in this best of 5 series, AEX pull off a team composition we don't usually see from them. AEX lock in a bunch of champions we actually see quite often in the current meta. Sunzi uses a tank support, Cannon actually takes a carry role, and then Genvi brings out the Kog'Maw, which had been recently rising in play. For a team that's known to be off meta, it was pretty weird to see this kind of team composition. Despite Ashe and Thresh being banned, Saigon Jokers show us that they've got a couple more things up their sleeve. They bring out all these new champions, including Azir and Kindred, who have been declining in play recently due to the nerfs. During the early game, Saigon Jokers puts a little bit of pressure on mainly the mid lane and the jungle. Azir burns an early flash of Victor's, and Kindred's able to invade and get a 3-buff start. Heaven then helps Warzone to secure a nice CS lead, which is consistent throughout the whole game, and we'll see later on that Warzone becomes a very big problem. It's on the top side of the map that AEX has hope. Cannon's able to do really well on his Irelia and gets a lot of kills on both Heaven and especially YT. However, despite the lead that Cannon got, AEX was not able to translate this lead into objectives. The Saigon Jokers continued to take advantage of their lead at mid and bot, and AEX could not contest for objectives. They just couldn't answer the tower diving potential of both Kindred and Taric, and Warzone became too much of a problem for Endless Ace to handle alone. After the Saigon Jokers get 2 Infernal Drakes, a deciding teamfight happens. AEX try to pick off Warzone in the mid lane, but the Headbutt Pulverize combo misses, putting Warzone in the position to Emperor's Divide 3 members of AEX onto the enemy side. AEX is completely lost at this point, unaware that that was gonna happen. 2 members go down, and this pretty much gives Saigon Jokers the Baron and the key to victory. With the lead that they have, as well as 2 Infernal Drakes and a Baron, the Saigon Jokers have everything they need to push into Acclaim Empire X's base and win the best of 5 series. Throughout the 3 games, we've seen that Acclaim Empire X have a lot to learn. In the pick and ban phase, they have to create a good balance between the champions that they're comfortable with, as well as what's strong in the current meta. Playing cheese picks is not a problem if they're sure that these will work against the enemy team's composition. They'll also have to improve on their laning phase as well as their map awareness so that there's not so much pressure on Tamsu to keep the game even. Since this is also Endless Ace's first competitive match as a new team member of AEX, they'll have to continue practicing along with Calculated so that team synergy will be good regardless of which mid laner they decide to bring in. I hope that Acclaim Empire X learned a lot from these games against Saigon Jokers because these lessons would be very useful when they represent the Philippines at the Garena Premier League next week. Thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed and learned something. If you want to see more content, feel free to follow me on my Facebook and Twitter, as well as check out my other videos on my YouTube channel. Don't forget to support Acclaim Empire X as they represent the Philippines next week at the Garena Premier League. This is the bridge between any Southeast Asian team and the international wildcard, which is the chance for these teams to go to Worlds. Again, this is Amplifier, and I'll see you guys next time.